Good evening, and welcome to Crime Time with Vito Colucci, P.I. Crime Time is heard exclusively on the Business Talk Radio Network and the Lifestyle Talk Radio Network. As always, we are streamed live at businesstalkradio.net for your listening pleasure, or you can check out an archive of tonight's show online as well. And now, your host, Vito Colucci, P.I.
Thank you, Gary the Voice Cortez, my announcer, my popular announcer. Got a lot of people that call. They'd like to meet Gary someday and things like that. But thank you, Gary, for your announcing on the show, and we love it. It's Sunday night, so it's time for Crime Time with Vito Colucci, P.I. We welcome everybody here tonight. We have a very interesting case we're going to talk about. And one quick comment before we go into this case. I was thinking about it last night. You know, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, okay, I am totally fed up with the commercials. There's a commercial every single break. There's numerous commercials every single break by all parties, okay? So I'm an equal opportunity basher over here. So it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat. I'm so tired of all you're hearing in the commercials, folks, is one person saying something bad about the other person. I think about all the people that have lost their homes, their jobs, and they have their TV on and they're listening to this. And they're saying, the husband and wife are looking at each other and saying, he just called his opponent a stupid head or something like that, or this one's no good. Or he says, I want to hear about how I'm going to get a job. I want to hear about how we're going to have some money on our table. So it's totally ridiculous what has been going on. And truthfully, like I looked over at my wife and I said, I just can't wait for the election to be over. And this transcends all party lines, folks. So I'm sick of what the Democrats are saying. I'm sick about what the Republicans are saying. And it's got to stop. Send me a message if you agree with me. Go on my Facebook page and tell me you agree with me. And that's it. I had to get that out of my system today. Well, we have a very special guest today, a friend of mine from the Texas area. I got to talk to her numerous times in the past, who's going through a horrible situation, the loss of her son under mysterious circumstances here. And I'm going to have her explain that to you for the first couple segments. Then we're going to have actually an eyewitness to this shooting that's going to be on our show. But first, we'd like to welcome Donna Underwood, all the way from Texas. Donna, welcome to Crime Time.
Thank you, Vito. So glad to be here.
Thank you very much. What we need you to do, because all our listeners across the country, many aren't familiar with the case. Why don't you take us back and explain to the listeners when this happened and a little bit about what happened, and in between I'll ask you different questions. Okay?
Okay. Well, on September the 4th, 2008. It was probably about 1:20-something that night. I got a call from a girl that was saying, calling me Mom, and I didn't know who it was because my daughter was in the room next to me in her bedroom, and I just talked to her, so that confused me, you know. And she said, Mom, Daniel just shot himself. And, of course, from that moment, I just went into shock, you know. And we went up there, and Rebecca Nelson was the girl that was there, and Maria Harvick. And Rebecca started telling me that she grabbed for the gun, and she missed and got his hand, and she was holding it, and the gun moved, and it went off. And later, she lied to the detective and said she never told me that. Well, you know, from that moment on, things just didn't add up.
Right. Let me ask you this. Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
How big, if you can determine, how long was this shotgun? What would you say? How many feet?
Well, I'm not sure, Vito. It was a sawed-off, but it was a legal length.
It was. Okay. And where was he shot?
He was shot in his mouth.
In his mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get some of the background of the case. So go on. Now, the girl who called you Mom was who?
She was a girl that had moved in with Daniel to help pay the bills and cook and stuff for him.
Is that Rebecca?
And she had moved in July 4th weekend.
Is that the girl Rebecca?
Yes, that's Rebecca.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, going to interview us at the police station. So I called her and asked her if she could bring Daniel's truck. She was driving it. If she could bring Daniel's truck and his cell phone so I could get numbers off, to let his friends know. And from that moment on, she started cussing us out, saying she owned everything that he had. Everything was hers. And, this was just blowing my mind because, I wasn't expecting, I didn't know the girl other than we had briefly met her, a few minutes at a time.
Right.
And so that kind of, just throwed me for a loop. Well, then after the interviews, she had went over to his house. She stole his laptop. She got his favorite pool sticks, his wedding rings, and she went to some of the bars that night and was trying to sell them. Well, when we finally got the cell phone and the laptop and stuff back, she had deleted all of Daniel's contacts. We had nothing, no, contacts of his friends or anybody. We just had to try to get, who we could to call about the funeral.
And Donna, this is a woman that only knew him since, or moved in with him like around June time.
Yeah, they had met and started going out the 21st of June, and then she'd moved in July 4th weekend.
Okay, so she calls your mom on that phone call, but then proceeds to rob every single thing you're saying that he had.
Yes.
Okay.
And she deleted all that off of his phone and his laptop, and the detectives asked her about it. And at first she denied and said some other man done it, and then she finally admitted that she did take the numbers off because she thought we was going to cause trouble, which didn't make any sense because, like I said, I did not know the woman. We wasn't trying to get into anything. We was trying to get through the funeral. That's what we were doing.
Okay, now, the police involvement from the beginning, like what has happened? Who did they interview? How long did they do their investigation before they came up with their conclusion?
Well, basically, that morning they told us that they would wait till they got, the autopsy, but they were pretty sure he had shot himself. And, we just didn't believe it.
Right.
There was nothing showing that Daniel was, in any way going to kill himself.
Okay.
And
now, it says in the reports...
Actually, when I got the autopsy and everything, and I started looking, that Daniel was supposed to have had the gun, holding it with his right hand.
Okay.
And the gun, there was no GSR on his right hand at all. And the angle of the gun was left to right. Well, if he'd been holding it with his right hand, it should have been the other direction. And she also had a recoil bruise on her leg.
She did.
It, for what? She on her police interview tapes, she tells two different stories. One of them, she tells that Daniel bent down over the gun, wasn't saying a word, and the gun went off. And in the next one, she's saying that her and Daniel were 6 inches apart and they were face to face. And I asked the detective, about this, and he said her stories were consistent. And
let's do this, too. Let's, Donna, explain to the ladies and gentlemen that are listening what caused this violent flare-up on both of their parts, something about the money and everything, right?
Okay. Well, he had quit his job, and he had a 401k, and he had gotten $25,000. And we're talking about less than a month's time that money was gone. And Maria, as you'll find out later, she says that Daniel is accusing her and confronting her about missing money. And even Rebecca says this in her interview tape, that there wasn't a large sum of missing money that we didn't even know about at the time. But Maria confirmed it, and then I had a man that had laid carpet at Daniel's house, and he said Daniel had confided in him that there was a large amount of his cash missing, and he knew she did it because she had access to his house.
So they had, your son Daniel and Rebecca had some really big argument that night.
Yes, there was a struggle.
In front of other
people.
people.
And the detectives told me that you could tell there was a struggle in the living room, but they did not take any photographs of the struggle.
I don't mean to laugh. That came out inadvertently, but that's, as an ex-cop and a private detective that's done many of these type of cases, that seems very strange to me. Even if something is a apparent suicide, you take pictures of the whole area.
Yes,
you show what the whole room looks like. So, I mean, you're sure there was no crime scene photos taken?
No, not of the living room where the struggle had been took place. No, there was boxes in the living room that were packed up with her stuff only. None of Daniel's property was in them.
Really?
And they were packed up and taped up. sitting in the living room. And
how old was Daniel? Was 33 at that time?
Do what?
33. Okay. So now, what did the police? Before we run out of time on this segment, what did the police say to you, or do, or who did they interview?
Well, they interviewed Rebecca, and the report they took from Rebecca was what they give the medical examiner. They said that he had a history of depression, which come out of her mouth, not any of our mouths, because it wasn't true, and that there was no domestic violence. And I even found bruises on Daniel's body that was not even documented in the police reports or in the autopsy reports. And I did talk to the medical examiner up there, and she said she could see the bruises.
Really?
But it wasn't, wrote down in their reports.
Okay, so as far as you know, he wasn't suffering from any depression.
No. And also in the investigative report, the officer stated that Daniel had the gun in his mouth. No one in the police reports, no one in the interviews ever says he had the gun in his mouth. So that right there, was how the medical examiner started out with their story.
So basically, Rebecca is saying they were struggling for the gun. She's saying she was trying to take it away from him or try to stop him from doing whatever.
She did not tell the officers that.
Yeah, and then the gun went off. So she told the officers that. What did she ever say to you at the beginning?
She told me that she was trying to grab the gun.
Right.
And she told the officers she only touched that gun one time, and she touched the very tip of it and was holding her finger like where the bullet comes out.
She's going to be thinking of all that in the middle of a struggle. Okay. All right. Go ahead now. So how long did it take for the police to come back with their conclusion?
They called us back probably, I don't know, the next month or two. I never even talked to Maria and all this because I thought I was supposed to stay out of the investigation,
Right,
and let them do it. And then when I started talking to Maria, she was traumatized at first. You could tell because she would tell me about the sound and the smell, and you could just tell. And then she started telling me that Rebecca had told her.
Of course, I'll ask her, did she know your son before this night, Maria, the eyewitness?
Yes, she knew him.
She was
a
friend
good
of both
with
of them.
And she was going to move into the house that night, but she had never stayed a night at the house.
Wow. All right, what's your opinion on this? What do you feel has happened here?
Oh, after Maria got in touch with us in 2010, did she just have her hands on the guns, right before it went off? And she said she had her hands on the gun when it went off, before it went off, when it went off, and after it, because she actually moved the gun and moved Daniel's body. And from that point on, she just she just told her whole story.
Now, she told you this in 2010.
Yes.
Did she tell the police in 2008?
No. She said that Rebecca had told her that not to tell them that they'd been fighting and all this, and she said she was scared. She was upset about the whole thing.
I hear our music in the background. We are going to a break, and we're going to discuss this more. Very, very interesting case. So we're going to be back in a few minutes with Donna Underwood. So everybody, just stand by, please.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Is texting getting way out of hand? I can't... Oh, please. Oh, that is funny. Where was I? Oh, yes, about texting. Pardon me. LOL, you are my BFF. So, like I was saying...
Switch to Geico now and you could save hundreds on your car insurance. For a free rate quote, visit geico.com to see how much you could save. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Has instant access to a wealth of entertainment, a most appropriate suitor.
He is of Netflix. Lavishes $8 a month on thousands of TV episodes and movies.
I heard he watches them over the internet.
Pish posh, it's the 1700s. Internet doesn't exist yet.
Oh, do hush, child.
Instantly watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on all kinds of devices for only $8 a month with Netflix. Start your free trial today. See terms of use.
All right, Flo, so the key to safe pest removal is staying calm.
Okay.
Says here, this lady's got a badger in her attic.
Oh, I love badgers. Oh, sorry. Calm. There he is! Come here, little buddy. I thought he wanted a hug.
Badgers don't really hug.
Not yet. Oh, badger.
Insuring your business vehicles with Progressive is like having Flo on the road with you. Low down payments, great discounts, and flexible billing options. Now that's Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. United Financial Casualty Company and Affiliates.
To the sounds of Hero, we are back with Donna Underwood. Donna, stupid question to ask, but for the people out there that have lost family members, this has been 4 years now, almost exactly 4 years. You miss having your son around?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to be his voice because he's not here.
That's exactly right. With all the cases that I have worked of this nature, I always tell my clients, the mother or the father, you are the only voice now for your child.
Yes.
And as much as a lot of my people don't like to rehash and do things and go to court and all that kind of stuff, they realize that that's their only way to get their son or daughter's voice out there. So I admire you. I admire all the shows that you have done to keep this active and out in the public, and you're doing the right thing, Donna. So tell us a little bit more about what else you wanted to add to this case.
Well, when I had requested all the open records on it, and I was watching the police interviews, and the first thing out of her mouth was that she wanted Daniel's wallet and his credit cards before she leaves.
That same night.
The first thing, before she even told him what happened or anything.
So in the midst of a man dying right in front of her, and all this chaos and everything else, and being brought into headquarters to talk, the first thing on her mind is saying, "Can I have his wallet and everything?"
Yes.
Okay.
And the credit card she was talking about was in Daniel's name.
You were his mother for the whole 33 years. This is a girlfriend that jumped into the picture just that year.
Yes.
And what made her feel that she had the right? This is a girlfriend. This is nobody. A girlfriend is nobody. Somebody that is being dated at that time, okay? Mm-hmm. What made her feel that she had the right to everything that's even personal that you may have wanted to keep as the mother?
I have no idea. My mouth was just hanging open, every time I'd hear something.
I've seen many of these cases where the people bound together, okay? I've done work for families where the girlfriend 7-10 years later is still hanging out with the mom, okay? Mm-hmm. Still, even if she was dating somebody else, once she'll go over to the mom's house of her deceased ex-boyfriend and just kind of go to the mall or do that. That is kind of the way people do things of this nature, So what you're telling me is very surprising, Donna Underwood. I mean, what else? What else about this case?
We found a checkbook that she had signed his name on his checks for close to $1,000. And, of course, it's just our word about here's the checks, and I tried to offer them to the officers, and they told me to hang on to them.
Okay, well, let me ask you this now, in remembering the report you sent me. What happened to his 401k money and everything?
Oh, there was nothing left. She says in there that there was, she claims $2,000 missing. And like I said, I have the man that I didn't know anything about this man that had laid carpet in Daniel's house. Mm-hmm. And he contacted me and wanted to tell me that Daniel was saying that there was a large sum of his money missing.
So he had it in cash in his house?
He had part of it in cash.
Okay.
Yes, and she knew exactly where it was, and she said in her interview, she said she liked to keep count of his cash, which was really strange, too.
Yeah. Wow. So now the police, when did they wrap it up on their end and said, Mrs. Underwood, we can't do anything else for you, it was a suicide?
Well, they had interviewed, I guess the last interviews they made was sometime in November, and then the detective kept telling me he had to write up his supplemental report. So it was the end of December before I picked up the open records. And that was also, I had asked him before about any GSR on her hands or anything. And,
explain to the listeners what that means.
Is there no prints? No, she didn't have any prints on the gun, and he told me no.
Okay.
But then I asked him later, and they had never printed the gun. They didn't send the GSR kits on her to Dallas until the same day that I picked up, which was December the 30th, 2008, was the same day they sent the GSR kits to Dallas.
Okay.
And I'm like nearly 4 months later, and they didn't bother to send them.
Maria came into the picture, and you obtained this new information. obviously you must have went right back to the police. Was there a main officer that was in charge of this, a detective of this case?
Yes, but
Okay.
I really, Susan Murphy Milano had worked with us some, and she had contacted some of the Rangers, and
Right.
they wasn't willing to do anything except telling us to go talk to the district attorney here.
Right,
And
okay.
so we had requested from the attorney generals, and they're supposed to be reviewing the case now.
Oh, they are. So
But
they're
I had
supposedly
went to,
reviewing it
the
then.
Texas Ranger had come in because it was given to him as a suspicious death because Daniel was his feet was laying on top of the gun and it was broke open. And his report says that they made that determination because Daniel's lower extremities hit the door face, and that's how he ended up on top of the gun. Well, after I had talked to Maria told me how he fell, and that Rebecca had moved the gun, and then she moved his body over where he was laying on his back.
So she actually said that to you, huh?
Maria did. And I was trying to ask the ranger how he made the determination. You know, I didn't even tell him I had talked to Maria then. And I was trying to ask him, and he said, "Are you trying to tell me that we didn't adequately investigate the case?" And I said, "No, sir, I was just wanting some answers." So I went ahead right after that and hung up because, you know, I felt like it was pointless. But Maria had told me that she had moved the body.
Let me ask you this, Donna, before we run out of time with your segment. In the reports, it says another girl was at the scene, a girl named Robin. Whatever happened with her?
She was at the scene as far as they had been to some bars, and she come to the house and got in her vehicle, and supposedly she left from there. But as far as I know, there was nothing in the records that they had ever contacted her, made any contact whatsoever with her.
Okay. But Maria was there the whole time through this. Okay, and you have a good relationship with her now. How often do you talk with her?
I talk to her pretty frequently.
Right. Okay.
She had opened up to me just really good.
Now, quickly before we run out of time, Rebecca Nelson. After this death happened, what did you find out? Did she start dating right away? Did she have a boyfriend? I mean, what did you ever find out?
Let me tell you this. You can ask Maria. When she come up to her police interview at the police station,
right,
she brought an ex-boyfriend to the police station.
Oh, really?
And Maria, she's seen this. She's seen them in the vehicle together.
Oh, okay.
So,
I tell you,
all this is just too strange.
Oh, it is, Donna. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, these kind of cases, you know, and you know, I don't want to sit here and point fingers at the police or anything else. I'd love. You know, my type of thing is I review cases. I review whole case files for families. When families call me, when they want to hire me, I'll say to them, well, you know, before you hire me, make a copy and send me everything you got. I charge them a certain amount of money, and I said I'm not going to take no big amount of money from you until I feel it's something I want to be involved in. So that's what you got here, as well as many other cases, because you know, it needs to be looked into. If Maria didn't pop up afterwards and say what she said, okay, not that I agree that the police case should have been dropped and ended at the time in 2008, but now, especially with what she has said and the information that you have obtained, I hope that people are really looking into this. Well, listen, I want to thank you, Donna, as I hear our music playing in the background. You're a good woman. I'm going to be talking to you a lot, and I want to thank you, very much.
Thank you,
keep
Vito.
fighting the good fight for your son, okay, for Daniel, because you are his voice, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, we will talk to you, Donna. Bye-bye.
All right.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Is texting getting way out of hand? I can't... Hold, please. Oh, that is funny. Where was I? Oh, yes, about texting. Pardon me. LOL, you are my BFF. So, like I was saying...
Switch to Geico now and you could save hundreds on your car insurance. For a free rate quote, visit geico.com to see how much you could save. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
My kids' rooms and took temperatures while they're sleeping, thanks to my Exergen thermometer. All I did was swipe their foreheads for a few seconds. It didn't even wake them up. My sister, the nurse, told us about the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer, and it's the best. Real value for the money and truly a lifesaver. Now I don't have to deal with ears or rears, if you know what I mean.
I'm Dr. Frank Pompey, founder of Exergen. Thousands of hospitals and clinics rely on temporal scanners. I'm confident you will too.
The Exergen Temporal Scanner. Pick one up at Costco and other fine retailers, or visit us at Exergen.com.
Staples Copy and Print knows you need to promote your business.
Trifold, full-color, double-sided brochures.
As you expand to a new area.
Business cards, postcards, car magnets.
So your business can thrive.
Business forms for invoices.
Because at the end of the day, only one thing is really important.
More invoices.
So you go to the one place that has it all.
Staples.
And prints it right.
Staples.
Staples. Right now, buy 250 business cards, postcards, flyers, or brochures and get 250 free. Details in-store or at staples.com/color. Ends 11/10/12. Staples. That was easy.
Attention homeowners, if your home has lost value and you now owe more than your home is worth, please listen carefully to this very important message. If you purchased a home or refinanced your loan before June of 2009, Quicken Loans may now be able to help you refinance at today's incredibly low interest rates, even if you owe more than your home is worth. This is Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I want to let you know that on September 14th of this year, the government announced changes that may allow you to refinance even if your home has lost value. So if your current mortgage is higher than 3.99%, please call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN. Even if you owe more than your home is worth, you may now be able to refinance at today's incredibly low rates. Again, if you've been unable to refinance because you owe more than your home is worth and your rate is above 3.99%, call 800-QUICKEN now and let us help you take advantage of this unique opportunity.
Important terms and conditions apply. Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Today we're asking people to name their one favorite meal for one from Stouffer's.
One favorite? Stouffer's lasagna. But how about the barbecue chicken?
Grilled white meat chicken coated with a sweet and tangy sauce with a side of cheesy potatoes topped with crisp bacon.
Yes.
So that's your one Stouffer's favorite.
Oh, but I also like Stouffer's meatloaf.
Classic meatloaf with a rich tomato glaze, smothered in a savory gravy with a tasty side of... Hey, where are you going?
You kidding? The store.
Stock up on all your favorite Stouffer's meals for one. Today.
Geico says, let's make life simpler.
Look, I'm all for modern conveniences. But ask yourself, do you really need a blender with 23 buttons just to chop an onion? At Geico, we think life should be simpler. So we make it super simple to save on car insurance. Just one click and you could be on your way to saving hundreds. Come on, people. Life doesn't have to be that complicated.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
What is term life insurance? It's basically a financial protection plan for your family if you pass away. It can be a hard purchase. Think about it. It's one of the few major purchases you can make that you will personally never use. But you've got to have it to protect your family. And you owe it to yourself to shop and compare to get the best possible rates. For term life insurance policies of $500,000 or more, call the Term Lifeline today.
800-957-6068. That's 800-957-6068. Remember, we specialize in term life insurance policies of $500,000 or more, and we have great rates for smokers, too. So call today. 800-957-6068. 800-957-6068. That's 800-957-6068.
We are back talking about Daniel Underwood case, died under mysterious circumstances. You had just heard from Donna Underwood, the mother. Now we're going to speak to an actual eyewitness that was there, Maria Harvick, all the way from Texas also. Maria, welcome to Crime Time.
Thank you.
Horrible case, absolutely horrible case.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little short background of how you hooked up with Daniel and Rebecca? And I heard from Donna that you were going to even possibly move into the home that night. How did that all come about?
Yes, I wasn't actually supposed to move in until a few weeks later, but Rebecca kept calling me on my phone while I was at work. And then when I got off, I finally called her back, and she was wanting me to go out to the bar with him, and I told her I didn't want to go. I was just going to have a beer at this other bar and then go home. But she kept on talking me into it, and I kept telling her no, and then I finally got a call from a friend of mine who asked me if I wanted to go meet her there, so that's how I ended up going there. And a friend of mine, I forgot I had already told a friend of mine I would meet her there. And that was
about what time
Rebecca
did you go to the bar that night?
I'm sorry?
About what time did you head to the bar that night?
Well, I got off work at 8, so it was probably about 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Okay, and you went on your own initially to meet them there?
Yeah, I went there to meet my friend Robin, and then they were there.
Okay. And now during the evening, were they angry with each other, Daniel and Rebecca, as they were at the bar?
At first, no. When she was talking about going to a different bar, which was further away, and he kind of didn't want to go. But
yeah.
She kept pressuring him until he finally said yes.
Okay. How long did you know Rebecca before this happened?
I'd only known her for as long as he was dating her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So now, you guys all leave the bar, and you head back to the house, right?
Yes.
Now, what's your recollection of what had happened, okay?
We get to the house. Well, after we left the bar, we stopped first at the bank. She wanted to withdraw some money.
Okay.
And from his car, off his card, and it didn't work, so she was mad. So we went to another bank. And then that one, I guess I gave her the money because she was fine. I didn't see how much she got, but
right.
Then she made another stop to the guy that worked at the bar was going to give her some pills. So she stopped there to, I guess, buy some pills. And then we went to the house.
You know what kind of pills they were?
I think they were hydrocodone.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
When we got to the house, my friend Robin didn't come in. She said goodbye. Daniel gave her a hug and told her goodbye, and he had fun with her, and I hoped to see her within the next week or so because it was going to be Rebecca's birthday, and he was going to take us all out to the boat, the casino.
Okay.
So I said goodbye. We went inside. Rebecca went in the back bedroom to change into her night clothes, and me and Daniel were sitting in the living room, and he grabbed us a beer out of the fridge, and we sat down. And then when Rebecca came out, she was wanting us to watch a movie, it's a comedy movie, and I had never seen it. She wanted me to see it, so she was looking for it. She couldn't find it. She was trying to ask Daniel a question, but he had his head down, I guess just thinking, and he didn't hear her, so she got mad and threw a DVD at him.
Oh, jeez.
And it missed him, so she picked up another one and threw another one, and then it caught him on the foot, and then it just kind of startled him, and he was like, oh, what? Quit throwing things at me. And she said, I'm trying to ask you a question. And he said, well, don't be throwing stuff at me. I didn't hear you. And she kind of got upset and stood up and walked over closer to him, and they started kind of arguing, so I went into the bedroom. I said, well, I'm going to go change into my night clothes and get ready for bed because I'm feeling a little awkward. And then I was in the room, and I called my boyfriend at the time, and I stayed in there just not even 5 minutes. And then I heard her hollering for my name, and I walked out of the bedroom, which was in the hallway, and I looked down to the living room to the left, and there was nobody there. And then I looked down the hallway to the right, and they were standing in the corner of the hallway. And he was holding a gun, and she was standing up straight in front of him. So I walked over there.
Now, was this one-story house they were in? One story?
Yes, one story.
One floor?
Yes.
Okay. And your bedroom was what, right next to their bedroom?
It was my bedroom was across from the bathroom in the middle of the hallway, and then there was 2 bedrooms at the end.
Okay. So now you look, and you see him holding a gun, and she's near him.
Yes, she's standing right in front of him, and she's holding the gun, too. She's yanking at it, too.
Okay. And what were they talking about? This was about money that was missing, right?
He was saying, I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do? You broke me. I'm down to, like, $42, I think is what it was. And she was just crying, saying, I don't know what you're talking about, and just whining and crying. And she kept telling him, please don't do this. Please don't kill yourself. And you know, he wasn't trying to do that. He was just trying to scare her and just, like, make a point, pretty much.
Now, were you standing, like, peeking out of your room at this time, half in, half out, or what were you doing? Because obviously you don't want to jump out and get hit by a shotgun blast.
I walked up right next to Daniel, and I was trying to tell him just calm down and just give me the rifle. Well, I said the gun, and he just turned and looked me dead in the eyes and said, it's not a gun, it's a shotgun. And I was like, okay, well, just hand it to me. Just let go. Now, come on, just give it to me. And he didn't ever answer me no more. And then he was just looking at her and talking to her. And I looked down, and he had his finger on the trigger.
Right. Okay.
And so I was telling her to let go of it because I said, you can make it accidentally go off or something, so just leave it alone. So I just grabbed her arms and was trying to tell her to let go. I didn't pull or nothing, just grabbed her arms and told her she needed to let go.
Okay. Did she?
She didn't at first, but I kept on telling her, and she finally did. But she kept putting them back on every time. After a few minutes, she'd put them right back on there.
I mean, what direction was the gun facing? Did he have it out, pointing outward or up in the air, or what?
It was pointing upward, and the trigger guard part was facing her.
Okay. He wasn't trying to kill himself, though?
No.
Okay. He kind of had that out there, like, in despair, saying, where's my money type of a thing, right?
Yes. Yes.
What has happened?
What do you want
poor
me to
guy
do?
worked hard, got that $25,000 saved, and now he sees, all this happening, wondering who
and then
took
he
it
had
from
some money missing out of a box, security box he had there at the house, too.
Oh, boy. Okay. So then what happened next?
She starts crying, and she falls down the floor on her knees, and she's just crying, saying, please don't do this, don't kill yourself. But he never said he was going to kill himself, but she was the one that kept saying that.
Right, and he never put the gun up to his head or anything either. While this was going on.
And then he said, I'm not trying to do that. And then I said, I didn't know what to do anymore, so I said, I'm going to go call somebody to come help, And so Rebecca told me, call Jimbo, which was my boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'll be right back. And I said, just don't touch it. And she said, okay. And I went in the bedroom, and I called him, and I told him what was going on, and he needed to get over here. I didn't know what to do. So he said he was headed that way. So I went back out, and then they were still kind of fussing and arguing. She still kept trying to grab the rifle. I kept telling her to let go, not to touch it. So it seemed like to me like it was taking forever for Jimbo to get there. So I ran back in the room to call him again.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing her screaming some more. And then so I was like, well, hold on. And I put the phone down. So I still had Jimbo on the line, so he heard it all. And I went back out there. As soon as I stepped out my door, the gun went off, and I seen him fall to the floor. He was in mid-sentence whenever it went off, and she was pulling it, and it was pretty much like she was holding it pretty much when it went off then. The gun even rebutted, and it hit her in the thigh. That's how angled it was then. Like it was angled, like she was holding it towards him.
Okay. All right. Now comes the very interesting part. Also, what happened next?
I saw him fall to the floor down on his side. She shoved the gun kind of into that other room, and then she rolled him over, and his feet rolled up on top of the gun. And then I'm hollering, okay, call 911, and she said, no, wait. And I said, wait for what? We need to call 911. And she wouldn't do it. So I said, okay, if you don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. She goes, hold on. And so she started saying, well, when we call, she said, don't tell them that we got in an argument earlier that day, because they'd got an argument at the bar about, she was saying he was flirting with another girl that was partners with her husband playing against them two. So she was telling me all that, not to say that. And,
all right, well, Maria, hold that thought. We are going to a commercial break. We're going to come back and talk more with Maria Harvick about this very interesting case with Daniel Underwood. So everybody, please stand by.
If you have a question for us or you want to be part of the discussion, call toll-free at 888-606-TALK and speak with the producers in Master Control now, or send an email anytime to vito@coluccipi.com. We
are back with Crime Time with Vito Colucci, PI, talking about the suspicious death of Daniel Underwood. We've heard from his mother at the beginning of the show, Donna. Now we have an eyewitness that was there that has also become a friend of the mom's, Maria Harvick. Maria,
yes.
Welcome back. Thank you for being on the show here. Now, explain a little bit more now. You said she turned over the body. You want to call 911. She says, wait. What happened next?
She's running up and down the hallway, just frantically, and telling me, don't tell him this, and don't tell him that. Don't tell him that I stopped for pills. Don't tell him I was stopped at the bank. Don't tell him we was arguing. Don't tell him about me throwing the DVDs at him and just all this stuff.
Jeez.
And I told her, no, if you don't call now, I'm going to call. So I started to get up to go call, and she goes, no, I'll call. So she runs
And he was
probably,
was he still alive at that moment?
Yes, he's still alive.
Oh, boy. Okay, so you make the call to 911. The police come.
She made the call first.
Okay.
But she was not really, she was just frantic, and you couldn't really understand what she was saying. So I took the phone from her, and she sat down right next to Daniel and she was just taking, she wasn't trying to help him. She was, the whole time I'm trying to talk to 911, she's just taking his blood and rubbing it all over herself, her face and her shirt and everything. And I'm just wondering what she's doing. Huh?
He was shot, what, in the face?
Yes, it shot him right, kind of by between his nose and his mouth on one side, and it come out the top of his head.
Yeah. Oh, boy, terrible scene. So now, when does the police interview you? That same night?
Yes. So I guess it was morning by then.
And at that time, did they have any other contact with you other than that initial interview?
They had another interview with me after I was sick, and I told them I was sick that I wouldn't hardly be able to talk, but they came out anyway to my house.
Okay, and you basically, because you're really spooked at this time, you basically said or tried to keep it the way Rebecca wanted it, right?
Yes.
Okay, now let's get past that. A couple years go by. What was happening? What was going on for those 2 years, obviously, in your mind, because you came to a point where you wanted to call Donna. So what were you going? Did you see Rebecca anymore after that night?
Well, I did. I seen Rebecca a couple of days after, or it might have been the very next day. No, it was a couple of days after she called and was wanting me and some friends to meet her at the bar, as she was wanting to talk about some stuff, Daniel stuff. So I told her, well, I work, and I'm not going to get off till 8. So
was she involved in the listeners want to know, was she involved in the funeral, or was she a grieving woman here, or
no,
what?
No, she wasn't grieving. As soon as the police made us leave the house, she was on his cell phone calling everybody she knew, even the bar owner and all her friends and everybody, and just telling them, everybody, the same thing. Daniel shot himself, and he made me beneficiary.
Now, do you know if the police ever checked her cell phone log and went back and interviewed these people?
No, and she had both phones, because when she called the 911, she didn't grab her phone, she grabbed his phone, so she had both cell phones. Because I tried to give the phone back to the cops after I got through with 911, because I was still on there when they made me go out of the house.
Right.
And I asked them, do y'all need this? And the cops said no, so she took it right then.
Okay, so and then how did you wind up calling Donna? What made you do that?
I heard through a friend of mine that she'd been wanting to talk to me about